So a very good morning, good afternoon to everybody, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar about the IACC Green Star programme. For those who don't know me, let me introduce myself. I'm Kate Bacon. I'm the Customer Relations and Events Manager for IACC based in the UK. For today's session, due to the number of participants, we will put you on mute to avoid any disturbances during the webinar. And can I encourage you all to use your chat boxes on the right-hand side of your screens with any questions. As always, for those unable to join the session, we will be recording today's webinar, and I will forward the recording together with the slides to you all after the session. Now I'd like to hand over to today's presenter, Mark Cooper. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Kate, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Mark Cooper, CEO of IACC, and I'm so looking forward to sharing with you some of the insights into IACC's Green Star Global Sustainability Programme today. So what we'll take a look at as we work through today's session is we will first of all look at, maybe just touch upon the importance of sustainability and what it means today in the meetings industry, and use some examples of why it's so important for us to be able to wear our sustainability credentials on our sleeve and be able to share that with our customers and share all the great initiatives that we have underway. We'll also take a little bit of a history, a walk down memory lane in regards to how Green Star came about and why it's relevant today, and a unique part of IACC's, a unique part of the program of benefits that IACC offers to its members worldwide. All of our properties, all 300 over 26 countries worldwide, can attain this certification. We'll touch upon the sustainability criteria, and I'm very aware that some of those of you that are on the call today will be both members who are looking at this from a perspective of joining the program, and hopefully will encourage you to apply once we've completed today's webinar, but also some of you that are already members and looking to improve. We will not be going into a huge amount of detail in regards to the criteria of it. This is an overview today of the program, but we are more than happy through the liaison with Kate and myself. We're more than happy to look at any elements of the survey that you would like to participate in. Then I'm pleased to welcome on today's call Lena, General Manager of Sigtuna Höga Conference Center in Stockholm, Sweden. And Lena will be just sharing with us one or two examples of sustainability and the program and one of their initiatives that they have taking place. It's got great impact on their customers and on their staff. So we're really looking forward to Lena being able to share some of those examples with us. And then finally, I'm going to hand over to Kate, who leads our Green Star initiative globally with our members, to talk us through how to achieve the Green Star certification. At various points throughout the program, what we will also look at as well, we'll have some Q&As. At each point, I will stop. I'm going to ask Kate to open up the microphones as well. So you do have the chat box. At any point, do ask a question in there. But at the end of each of these stages, I will ask Kate to open it up, and then feel free to ask any questions that you have of us as well at that point. And hopefully, in the next 30 to 40 minutes, we will have given you a good understanding of IACC's Green Star program. So just to get us warmed up for today's webinar, I've got a question for you. For the person who can answer this the quickest in the chat box, yes, there is a prize for you, and it will have a sustainability link. But does anyone have an idea what this building represents? And I'll give you just a minute or two to be able to put your ideas down here. So what do we think this building or this picture represents?
A treehouse from Xavier at Dolce.
It's absolutely right. You're spot on with a treehouse, Xavier, but let me give you a clue. So it is a treehouse, but it is also the most popular something. So either Xavier or someone else can steal a march on Xavier now and come in here with a closer interpretation of what treehouse, what is this, the most popular treehouse for?
D said
D has
Airbnb.
taken. D, you've said Airbnb. I would like to congratulate you. You're absolutely right. This was last year the top venue on Airbnb globally. It's actually in California, for if you want to know where it is. But why am I sharing this? We're talking about sustainability, and I'm showing you the top venue on Airbnb. Well, it's because just as we look at the individual traveler seeking out experiences that are different, in terms of their accommodation, or even, restaurants are looking for very different experiences. It's exactly the same when we look at our meetings from a meeting delegates perspective. They're looking for the small things that separate that venue, make them feel good, make them feel warm and fuzzy. And we'll look at how some of the generations were influenced here in a moment. But sustainability and sustainable practices and being good in the environment really today has more of an effect and influence on meeting delegates than I think it's ever had since the creation of greenwashing and sustainability even came about some 10, maybe 15 years ago. So that's why it's really important today. Now, meeting planners are increasingly demanding something different. They want, here is another treehouse. This is a meeting room treehouse, which is one of our member properties in the Netherlands. It's providing an environment that stimulates, it's creative, but also through some of the initiatives that they have in place, they're part of the forest, their green initiatives really come through into their meeting spaces. And if we take a moment as well, just to reflect a little bit about on all of the different elements that those that arrange meetings with us day in and day out are having to consider, there are the normal things like technology, like transport, the quality of the venue, everything that we know and build into our sales programs, are important to meeting planners. But more and more now coming out are the areas, the elements such as sustainability, being millennial friendly, health and well-being, which again's got that connection with with sustainability as well. So it really is an important element when a meeting planner is evaluating a venue, and a great opportunity, if put right and in the right context, can be something that they can get truly excited about and know that it's going to leave that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling in their delegates' sort of heart when they see it in play and know that they've come to a venue that cares. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and we will take a look, just some of these areas, and we'll take a deeper look at the importance of being sustainable. I wanted to share with you actually just one slide from our recent survey, which is IACCC Meeting Room of the Future initiative, where we go out to meeting planners and venue operators. So if anyone sat on the call today and thinking, is what Mark and is what IACCC saying, right? Is it something, is it aspirational or is it the reality? Well, if anything's going to show you this is reality now. What we found was fascinating when we asked venue operators, please indicate which of the following statements are true or false in regards to your venue's food and beverage offerings, which included sustainability. Number one now is sustainability, and sustainable practices are more important to the venue than they were 3 years ago. Now that flipped from number 2 last year and swapped places with the concept of implementing more initiatives around health and well-being. Still very big, but it just shows that venues now are really starting to understand that they need to be visually sustainable as well. So not just on paper, not just in our RFPs, it's got to be visible, and it's got to be seen by delegates when they're at the property. And I was just at an event, last week in Indianapolis for Meetings Professionals International. And I can tell you, even though we were in the middle of a park in wonderful Indianapolis for our opening event, we had conference planning team and volunteers that were actually going between the bins and the trash cans that were in the park for the delegates to put their disposables from dinner in, etc. And they were separating the trash out and reallocating it to the correct bins. Now, that wasn't just noticed by me. I'm sure that was noticed by many of the delegates there. And again, just shows how sustainable practice can be brought into a visual environment, be seen by delegates, and actually have a positive effect. Not everything has to take place at back of house. So let's move on a little bit. One of the studies, and it's going back to 2016, so we're nearly 2 years old now, but this was initiated by PKF. And again, it just makes it's a big brand, a major survey that's conducted by Cox Enterprises in partnership with PKF. Yeah, and they're making a definite link with millennials and the future of sustainability. And in this research, they talk about maybe a lack of awareness and appreciation with some baby boomers. We have to generalize here. I'm sure it's not the case with all baby boomers, but millennials have a strong desire, as well as millennials as well as those incoming generations really do have, Gen X is the one I was thinking of. Gen X and millennials really do have a strong appreciation for sustainability. So they make up the majority of our delegates and our customer buyers nowadays. So we really better listen to what they're saying and really get our credentials in line. So just before I move on, if I could ask you, Kate, would you just open the line up there for everybody for microphones? That's it. We're all live now. At this point, just looking at some of the history, some of the trends and research, does anyone have a question that they'd like to share? And I'll just give it 30 seconds, and if not, we'll carry on to the next series of slides. Okay, we'll move on. And the line's nice and quiet, to be honest with you. We haven't got any background noise here, Kate, so we can probably leave everybody's line open, and then please feel free to speak if you'd like to ask a question. So really, when IACC's Green Star initiative really came about, it was at that time there were other sustainability programs out there, Green Seal, a number of them, beginning with green throughout Europe and the Americas. But they never really got a grasp of areas very specific to meeting rooms and meeting room environments. A lot of them were hotel generic. So we didn't feel that they were challenging enough. And so we created our own certification, which every IACC member can undergo with their green team at no cost to the organization. And we wanted to set the bar really high. Now, after 6 years, we reviewed again in 2015, and actually we're just starting our process of reviewing again for the next 3 years, where we will set the bar even higher. But as an example, we only have 5 members that reach our highest standard at the moment, and the level of sustainability and sustainable and CSR practices that they've got to have in place are really quite impressive. So congratulations to the 5 that have reached the platinum standard. It is a self-certified, accreditation process. We do manage it exclusively by IACC, only for IACC members. So if you see the Green Star certification, you know that is an active member of IACC. And as we talked about, our venues and our members can use that throughout their discussions and interactions with their customers. So let's look at some of the approaches that venues will need to take. Now, first of all, one of the really important elements is that they have a green team. And by that, they have a group within the organization that come together regularly, look at the green initiatives, help the organization, whether that be the teams at the property or suppliers that are serving the organization as well, but come to put in place the policies and the processes. You will need to complete the survey every 2 years, so it comes up for renewal. So again, some of you may well be part of Green Star and have been part of it in the past. You would have been familiar with going through the renewal process. And really, one of the keys is identifying the areas of improvement and being able to set new goals. So whatever level that you reach this year, there's always that opportunity to change your practice, reapply, and reach an even higher level. And I can tell you from looking at when we last evaluated against 6 of our our competing green initiatives within our industry, I was really proud that we came out as one of the most exacting standards out there. So really achieving excellence with IAC, you can get no higher. The bar is pretty high. And then the promotion of the Green Star status is all down to you, but it's an excellent way, being able to educate your teams, make them feel proud of their Green Star service and status, particularly the marketing and sales departments that have to be able to convey these and convey your achievements to your clients and prospective clients, make them feel really proud of it as well. So that's an important element of going through the process. It's not just about going through it, getting the badge and the certification and putting it on the website. Really put this certification to use because it has a value. So now what we'll do, we'll just take a look at some of the key areas of the program. And again, we won't go into this in any detail, but in terms of reuse is one of our main areas. So obviously recycling, linen, the reuse of linen, no disposable cutlery. One of the next areas we're going to be reviewing now, which is a big element, is the use of plastic straws as well within our bars and areas there. There's a great, I guess, great power behind sustainability at the moment in terms of venues and bars, etc., and eradicating the use of cocktail straws and plastic cocktail stirrers, etc., will really help the planet and the environment. Refillable water bottles. Water's a big part of conference venues and conference centres, as we know. Refillable water bottles, water stations, everything that's an alternative to that plastic water bottle that we're used to be providing in the meeting room has got to be a great thing. And because our consumption is so high, it has a major impact. Then we come down to water conservation, which is another important element for our venues. And when we look at that, you've got things like, water saving devices, landscaping strategy. Many of our members are in resort locations, regional rural locations with grounds. And so the recycling water and being able to have policies in place for watering plants and grounds and lawned areas and golf courses, again, is a key area that can impact on sustainability. Energy efficient appliances, water metering, path washing, again, how we do that, how often that's done. They're all examples of where there's best practice within the checklist that our green teams at our property level can really encourage the property to think about their consumption. And of course, with the reduction of consumption and wise consumption, we not only are presenting a great case to our customers, not only feeling good about it as an employee because we are caring for our planet, but we're probably as well going to be reducing costs as well for the property because we're becoming more efficient. The next area I'd like to cover is purchasing. Now, green purchasing policy is one of those elements. We are purchasing a lot. We have a lot of suppliers, particularly with consumables like food. But partnering with suppliers who source environmentally friendly products is key. Those that have a policy for little or no packaging, are suppliers that you really wish to seek out. And chemical-free cleaning products, are really a main part of our procurement these days. The energy management program is key as well, and we look at the Energy Star rated appliances, even for those properties that have in-house linen and cleaning and washing facilities for linen as well. We look at that. Reducing the drying cycles and eco-friendly building materials when we're redeveloping our properties or even building properties for the first time. IACC always has a number of new venues in the build phase, and so we try to encourage them to look at the Green Star survey and participate in it even before those doors open. And food and beverage, as I mentioned, is a really big one. It's the one that hits the news the most as well. It's the ones that touch us in in a retail and in a private capacity as much as it does in a conference venue area. And locally produced, reduced miles for food to be able to come in. I mean, it's a real win-win if we think about it. If we use our locally produced foods as well, we're connecting with the locality and the destination. and not just serving menus and serving food, that conference delegate can get whatever state they're in or whatever county or whatever country they're in. You're really making a connection, and local suppliers are great partners to work with. Organic ingredients as well. Now, we do go on outside of this program to talk about things like ancient grains, and the use of those in our ingredients, and using ingredients that are linked to health and well-being, which is another win-win. And those two really do overlap in terms of health and well-being for food and sustainable practices. For instance, using fish that are not, that are sustainable only, i.e. they're not on the World Wildlife Fund's endangered list. And then how we handle leftover food, the composting of food, having food banks that we support as well. Again, expect those in our checklist. Now, one of my greatest friends and the person who's been the most instrumental over the years in IAC in terms of really driving sustainable practice is Lotta Bowman from Sigtuna Holden Conference Centre in Stockholm. Lotta couldn't be with us today, but one of the things that she says that I wanted to share with you is being sustainable is not boring. It really can enrich the delegate experience and motivate the whole team and give them a sense of pride. We give all our sustainable activities and heart and strong presence in the venue, then it really, it is a great environment for customers and for staff. Now I'd like to take the opportunity to hand over to Lotta's colleague and general manager at Sigtuna Holden, Lena, who will share with us just one of these practices that they have in play, and maybe any other tips that Lena may have from a venue perspective, and how we can how impactful being sustainable can be. Lena, welcome.
Hello, Mark and Kate and everybody. Yes, this is our dress that we worked in the summer. We started to use recycled dresses in 2013, I think, and we want to do something fun, communicative, and visually in our sustainable work, just to show everybody that it could be a little bit fun too. And we chose to sew up our summer dresses in recyclable fabric. Most of them are old curtains, and some of them are old linen from the 60s and 70s. We have get many comments from our guests that they like our dresses, and they think we are sticking out a bit from other venues when we are dressed like this. In our shop, we also sell the clothes and invite our guests who are interested to contact their supplier. The supplier has also a website that they can have clothing subscription and get fashionable clothes. Of course, we work in sustainability in many other ways. We are working hard to be a sustainable employer who wants the staff to working in the labor hours, because we think that the staff are much healthier if they have time to rest between the work hours and have a lot of free time. As Mark says, of course, we do not use straws in our bar, and we have refillable water bottle.
Lena, that's great. I mean, it's a fantastic initiative. I mean, everybody on that photo looks so happy, right? So when you talk about happy employees, you're walking the walk there, and they're just incredible uniforms. And what struck me when I first learned of this initiative was, looking at the different uniforms, the delegates can see that something is going on, and so, they're asking the staff, tell me about your uniform, about your dress, and they're being able to share that they're using recycled materials. And yeah, we should be wearing more clothes from the 60s and 70s, I think. They're far more fun than what we were used to in the 80s and 90s.
I think so too. We don't have to be black all the time.
But thank you for sharing that. And I know Lena, would be happy as well with, to share ideas offline with any of the IAC members. So you'll be able to contact Kate, and we'll be able to put you in touch with Lena as well on that. But I really do appreciate you sharing that with us, Lena. And like I say, Sigtuna Holden's a shining example of a property that really, has sustainability at the heart of the whole organisation. So great to see what's happening in Scandinavia.
Thank you, Mark.
And just to share with you another quote, this is one from a global program manager from company Learning Excellence and Execution. And I thought it's worth sharing, why they're happy to use IAC properties, not only, because they have the type of facilities that they want for their executive level audience, but also because they're aligned with us to provide sustainable products for our employees. And it's worth noting that, whilst we're looking at our own practices at this level and striving to be excellent, our customers are doing exactly the same within their organizations. And so, we are also at the same time, aligning ourselves with some of those practices. So it wouldn't hurt us occasionally, to ask during the sales process and during a site inspection of the property, tell me what's important for your company when it comes to CSR and sustainability, and let us see if we can help match that with what we're going to put in place for your conference in a few weeks' time. That can be a real quick win-win. Then I'd like to share with you just one example of one of our members. Many of you will be familiar with Dolce Hotels and Resorts because they're in Europe and they're also in North America as well. But this is just their code of sustainability page on their website. And you can see, they wear their green star with pride, and they talk about a little bit about why they embark upon the IAC Green Star certification and maybe not others that are out there. So it's really encouraging to see, one of our members, giving it high importance, giving it a web page of its own, and being able to help explain to those visitors, why sustainability is important to them. Okay, now you've heard enough of me for the last 20 minutes or so. Now I'm pleased to hand over to my colleague Kate, who's going to talk us through how to become a Green Star certified venue. And Kate, if I do this properly, hopefully I'll be able to advance the slides and be able to, follow you along.
Great, thank you, Mark. Yeah, so as Mark said earlier, the details of the Green Star programme can be found under the Environmental Initiatives page on our website, which sits under the Resources tab, so you can see it there on the screen. And there are two avenues for the survey. We obviously have non-residential and residential venues in membership, so you would select the appropriate survey to your venue. And it really is as simple as clicking on that survey and going through the process of answering a series of questions, just over 60 questions around the programme. Now, for those who haven't completed it before, if you wanted to know more about the programme and in terms of what that survey entails, you can contact me prior to that and I can send you a PDF copy of all the questions so you can perhaps go through that before you start to complete it. Once those surveys are completed, they come straight through to me. And as Mark said, it is a self-certification program. So I would go through, use some software to basically score those surveys. And we come out with 3 tiers. As Mark said earlier, we have a platinum tier, which again, we have 5 members on that tier, which they have to basically score 100% in all areas of the survey. And then we also have a gold and a silver tier for scoring. And once you've done your survey, I would go through that and I would contact the person that's completed the survey and advise you of the results and provide you on successful certification with your Green Star, which you can then go on and use in your marketing and on your website. Again, if anybody is interested in the programme that isn't currently a Green Star member, please feel free to contact me anytime after the session, and I'm happy to set up a call or go through any questions that you may have regarding the actual programme. Okay, back to you, Mark.
Kate, that's great. I wonder if you could help us. One question I know that I'm often asked from our members is, once they've gone through the application process and submitted it to IAC to be scored and to be able to give give an outcome, what happens if there's any areas that are not compliant or there's questions in regards to which option to be able to select, or indeed, let's just say an example where a property has not got something in place today, but they are going to be putting it in place within a matter of days or weeks. How do you handle queries and those sort of questions?
Sure. So basically what happens is I pull the report off for each venue once you've done the survey, which details each question and how it's answered and how it fits into the software. So if, for example, something isn't in place, that's an area you need to then work on to obviously work towards achieving a higher score, if you like, to get to the higher level in the accreditation. And that's something I can do after I pull the whole report, and you can see on the areas that you need to work on to improve your levels. And indeed, people and venues that haven't achieved the silver accreditation can then look at what areas they need to work on to move their scoring.
Great. And then once they've achieved their certification, they're added to the website, to our website, in that list of honours of different categories, but then also you provide the logo to the venues that can use it at their will in all their RFPs, website, communications, email footers, etc. Is that right?
That's right, Mark, yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. Well, thank you, Kate. So that's given you hopefully a good appreciation of the program. Now what I'd like to do, I'd be happy to open it up to questions to all, you know, feel free to use the chat box or the microphone. We'd love to hear of any questions you have at this stage. Okay, one question that's come in whilst we might wait to hear one more is Patricia asking Kate for your email address, I think, if you could.
I've just done that.
Send that through. Wonderful.
Beat to it.
Okay. Well, no questions have come through, so that hopefully means that we've covered all the bases with you, given you enough inspiration and encouragement to participate in the Green Star survey. We look forward to welcoming your applications or your further questions, but we appreciate you joining us today for the webinar and hope that you can join us for more of IACC's member webinars in the coming months, because I know we've got a great lineup running through to the fall. So have a good day, everyone, and we'll speak with you soon. Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Lena.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.